Hey guys, there's this massive issue in crypto right now that I think makes a ton of coins basically worthless. Today I want to walk you through how I spot the projects that actually have a real shot at building lasting value for their token, and where XRP fits into all of this. A lot of people are messing up big time and falling straight into a trap in this market. I've never really spilled this exact thinking on here before because it's kind of new, and I've been waiting to see if it holds up in real life. But now I'm super confident about it. It's the right lens to look at crypto through. Here's the main thing. Every token has two sides. One is why the team created it in the first place. The other is why anyone would actually buy and hold it. Those are totally different questions, and most folks skip the first one completely. People see a cool project with a smart team and go, "Wow, these guys are building something awesome. The token's gonna moon." But they never stop and ask, does this token actually need to rise in price for the project to work? Or is it just slapped on there? Seriously, tons of projects build something interesting on a blockchain, then create a token mostly to raise money. The crazy part? The blockchain could run perfectly fine without any token at all. That's just a fact. Some teams come up with a neat idea, launch the project, and only later try to figure out a job for the token. They see a token as extra value, so they add one. But when you dig in, the token's role is super weak or unclear. This happens a lot with projects that deal with putting real-world info or data on the chain, fancy secure exchanges of information and all that. Then there's the token, and you're like, okay, so what's it actually do? You can use it to pay for stuff, sure, but why not just use a stablecoin like USDC instead? That question kills it for me. It's everywhere in crypto. The token definitely has a purpose for the team, though. If people get excited and don't look closely, they buy it. The team sells their stash, and boom, free cash to build whatever they're making. That's the real win for them. So you have to ask yourself, is the token's purpose good for me as an investor, or just good for them? If you can't clearly explain why the token exists and why it matters, walk away. Don't assume the smart team figured it out. Sometimes the whole point is that you don't figure it out. So you buy, they sell, and the token wasn't even needed. Now let's flip it to XRP because people try throwing the same criticism at it. They'll say Ripple just made a bunch of XRP with no real use, same old story. But that's not true at all. XRP is built right into the XRP ledger as its native asset. The ledger literally cannot operate without XRP. If XRP didn't exist, there would be no XRP ledger. That's huge. It shows the token has a real baked-in reason to be there. The XRP ledger is this neutral, decentralized system for moving value around the world. XRP is essential to how it runs. Without it, you couldn't have this open, neutral global exchange for value. XRP helps secure the whole thing and keeps it decentralized. So even if nothing else happened, the token already has core importance. The network would break or lose its security if XRP tanked to nothing. On top of that, look at how Ripple uses XRP in their bigger plan. They see it as a liquidity bridge. Right now, to swap between different currencies or assets, you need direct trading pairs for every combination. It's a mess of connections. Instead, picture everything flowing through one middle asset, XRP. You go from asset A to XRP, then XRP to asset B. Way fewer connections, way more efficiency. XRP becomes this neutral hub that pulls liquidity together. When lots of money, think billions in trades, derivatives, whatever, starts routing through the XRP ledger using XRP as that bridge, a bunch of XRP has to sit there providing the liquidity. That demand ties up tokens and pushes the price higher over time. You can't run a huge active system like that with XRP staying cheap forever. If it actually catches on, the price has to reflect that real usage. Those two pieces, the native requirement in the ledger and the liquidity role, are what make XRP different. If the vision works, XRP isn't optional. It's central and necessary. Compare that to something like Chainlink's token, which is in the top 10. Full honesty, I own some Link and think the project is great, but for a long time, the token had almost no real utility. You could just pay for their Oracle services with a credit card. They added some workarounds later to loop Link back in, but it's not critical to the system. The network would still function without it. That's rare. It worked because Chainlink grew so massive, but most tokens in that spot would be sketchy. I avoid anything where the token could be replaced or removed and the whole thing still runs fine. If you swap the token for USDC and everything keeps working the same, that's a red flag. This isn't me hating on projects. It's just about giving you the questions to ask. What does this token actually do? Where does it fit in the big picture? If you can't get clear answers, maybe hold off putting money in. That's the main stuff I wanted to share. Point fours. The big takeaway I want you to walk away with is this simple check you can do on any crypto project before you even think about buying the token. Ask yourself, what happens if this token disappears or gets replaced tomorrow? If the whole system still runs smooth, like payments keep flowing, data keeps moving, the blockchain keeps securing itself, then that token probably isn't doing anything essential. It's just decoration. And decoration tokens usually end up as exit liquidity for the people who created them. With most coins out there, you could swap the native token for USDC or some stablecoin, and nothing important would break. The project would keep chugging along, maybe even better without the volatility of a speculative token. That tells you the token was never the main product. It was the fundraising side hustle. XRP is one of the few where that question gets a hard no. You can't swap it out or remove it. The XRP ledger flat out stops working properly without XRP doing its job. It's required to pay tiny fees that stop spam. It's required to keep the network secure through people holding and using it, and it's literally the fuel that makes the decentralized value transfer machine run. Take XRP away and there's no machine left. Then add on the bigger picture ripples pushing, using XRP as that central bridge asset for fast, cheap cross-border swaps. Banks, payment companies, whoever, they don't want to maintain a million different trading pairs for every currency combo. They want one reliable middle step. If XRP becomes that step for serious volume, hundreds of billions in flows, derivatives, remittances, all that stuff, then a meaningful chunk of XRP has to be held and used in those liquidity pools at any given time. Basic supply and demand math says the price has to adjust upward to handle that scale. You literally can't provide deep liquidity for giant money flows with a token that's worth pennies forever. That's not hype or to-the-moon vibes. It's just how market mechanics work when real usage shows up. If the adoption actually happens, and yeah, it's still a big if, nothing's guaranteed, then XRP having a higher price isn't optional. It's required for the system to function at scale. Compare that again to something like Chainlink. Great tech, super useful oracles feeding real-world data into smart contracts. But the Link token? For ages, you didn't need it at all. Pay with a card, done. They later built some staking and payment routing to give Link more of a role, and it's worked out because the network exploded in size. But that's the exception, not the rule. Most tokens that start off optional stay optional, and usually bleed value over time as teams sell or new supply hits. So, when I'm looking at any project now, I run that same mental checklist. Is the token actually required for the network to exist and operate? Can the team or anyone else just ignore it, replace it, or dilute it without breaking anything important? Does real usage of the product force demand for the token, or is it just speculative hope? If the answers aren't crystal clear and strong on the yes side, I usually pass. Life's too short to hold fundraising tokens disguised as utility. That's the framework that saved me from a bunch of bad calls, and it's the one I keep coming back to. Hope it clicks for you, too.